after being away?
Maple syrup mousses.
It's just to get you, it's get the juices flowing.
Yeah, I love
Get
it.
something flowing.
Ready?
Yep.
Oh, hang on. 28th. Is that right? 28th. That's
Is
not
the
right.
28th. Episode 207.
Wow. 207 on the 29th.
2078 on the 29th. That's correct. Wow.
That's actually pretty good. I was thinking on the morning. That's amazing. Are you ready?
Yep.
Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 207, recorded on November the 29th, 2018. On tonight's episode, we discuss everything that you need for the holidays in our Nintendo Dads Buyer's Guide. On top of that, we've got a few news articles, including the fact that Nintendo is now letting us post videos on YouTube. So, Jesse, cue the sweet, sweet, sweet music.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Nintendo Dads. I am Marty Estes, and I'm joined tonight by Jesse Waldack and Gary Gray. Yes, he has returned from the UK. Gary, man, how are you?
As the usual, I'm still tired. I'm busy. It's been a crazy, hectic month with university and Pokemon things and family and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, full disclosure, you've been really slammed lately.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, non-stop, yeah.
Absolutely, and Jesse is now trying to hypnotize you via the camera with his Pokeball Plus. Speaking of Jesse, how are you, Mr. Jesse Waldack?
I'm good. We had an interesting emergency at work today. I went into my office to found out that one of our applications is saying that we're closed, thinking it's still Thanksgiving, because it was set up to check for a Thursday of the month, but not necessarily the 4th and only 4th. It was also checking for the 5th. So we had to do a quick emergency code change and release to get that to stop doing that.
Nice. And thinking on your feet, that's always fun, right?
One of those once every 6 years type of events, and it just happened to have been this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought you were going to say the crisis was that Tyler Durden was blowing up the credit records where you work.
No.
Yeah. That would be good, though. Speaking of being good, we hope that you have been good in 2018, because tonight we're going to talk about our Nintendo Dads Holiday Gift Guide, where we're going to run down everything that you need for Nintendo Switch and 3DS, as well as some Nintendo collectibles and other goodies that have been recommended by us dads over here at Nintendo Dads, as well as a slew of other news. And since we've got so much to cover, guys, let's just get right into it, shall we?
Trying to get into it so fast, I cut you off with the music.
No, that's okay, man. Listen, our news is brought to us by our patrons over at patreon.com. You can go to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you get to join one of the greatest Discord communities in existence, the Nintendo Dads community, where even right now, as we speak, there are weekly and monthly tournaments running that you can go compete in and win points and glory. What is the tournament going on right now, Jesse?
I believe that there was a Super Mario Party, but since I don't own the game, I wasn't really paying too much attention to what's going on.
You're right. It is a Super Mario Party tournament, and in the past we've had Mario Kart 8, Super Mario Brothers Ghouls and Ghosts, or Ghosts and Goblins, and now Mario Party. And we're just having a great time over there. There's people who are able to find each other and play on online and play Diablo, and we're gearing up for Smash. It's a great community, and not to toot our own horn, because we didn't create it. Our patrons created it. And again, for $1 a month, you get in there. $5 gets you access to all of the tiers there in the Discord. And then above that, there's our $15 tier, or I'm sorry, our $10 tier, and our $30 tier for our Patreon producers, and we are thankful for those guys as well. Look, we're just thankful that you listen to the show. The fact that you want to give us money and help us make great Nintendo Dads content is even better. And we want to say a special thanks this week to Rick D, who is a brand new patron of the show. Rick, thanks so much for hopping on board and supporting us and believing in us. And if you've even, like all of you patrons, even you day one folks, thanks so much for all of your support over the years. It helps us right the ship here and helps us keep going. Guys, let's dive into some news. Before we get into our gift guide, we want to share a couple of things that are going on in and around the world of Nintendo. One of the biggest stories that broke this week is that Nintendo has announced the end of the Nintendo Creators Program, which they established, I believe, a few years ago on YouTube. Basically, Jesse, help me out here. It was a revenue sharing program for content creators.
So basically, Nintendo wasn't very YouTube friendly back then. So they would, if you use any of their games for any reason, if it had the music in it, if it had the video content in it, they would content ID it and take all the ad revenue, so the creators didn't get anything. So Nintendo says, okay, we'll create this program to revenue share. So before you'd just get a cut of, if it was anyone else that didn't have to worry about this, YouTube takes their cut, creator gets the rest. But now YouTube takes a cut, Nintendo takes a cut, and gives us whatever's left. And I had it on my personal account while it was still monetizable before that stopped earlier this year. And then our Nintendo Chad's channel also has been part of the program. And I think between the two accounts in its lifetime of the program, we might have made $3 or $4.
Right. Yeah. From the now, full disclosure, from the Nintendo Creators Program and not just from YouTube.
Right. This is money that Nintendo paid us.
Right.
Not
now, when this policy was instituted, a lot of creators were understandably upset by it, simply because of the amount of dispersal, and it cut into their bottom line as well. But Nintendo has announced as of this week that program is going away at the end of December, and has basically published a list of types of videos and types of things that you can stream and can create content for over on a website out of Nintendo of Japan.
Yeah, and for the most part, the rules haven't changed much, but my guess is they're going to be more strict at enforcing them. So some of the things that I've been guilty of, that I've done that is against their rules, but they haven't flagged it, so that there's still ad revenue coming in from those, are Let's Play videos of just gameplay and nothing else. So there's no commentary, there's no other videos or other things going on. They don't want that. They want the extra effort by the creators, and rightfully so, to actually put their spin on what they're experiencing in real time.
Right.
The things like that. And they don't want piracy. So like they don't want, you can't play a game on an emulator. That's obviously an emulator, or playing a game that's been added to an NES Classic mod. If that's something that's,
if you do that type of thing, I mean, who would do that?
So if you're
who would mod their NES and SNES Classic?
If you're blatantly obvious with it, those videos can be taken down.
Right.
Not just revenue sharing down, but down.
Here's the thing, though. This is, for the most part, a very positive move by Nintendo, correct?
Yeah, this has actually puts them back in line with everyone else.
Right.
Because Sony never had such a silly thing. Xbox never had such a silly thing. They can put in, people can stream and talk about what they want, and they've never, and other than maybe some takedowns for, like music companies are probably the worst as offender now outside of Nintendo. But if you play a game that has a licensed track, and the music company has dibs on that track, they can still take a copyright hit on that.
Mm-hmm.
That happened once when I was playing Batman Arkham Knight. Like the first half hour of the game I put on Twitch was muted because of the music.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and that's not exclusive to Nintendo, and it's not exclusive
No.
to any company. That I mean, they're going to try to do copyright strikes where they can.
Yeah, I think
But
the only other
it would-
company that has done anything, like that was like Atlas when Persona 5 launched. They were really strict on, don't show anything that's happened past July 27th, or we'll copyright strike you. Because they wanted to keep the story under wraps and didn't want people
Right.
to just experience the story by watching someone's playthrough. They wanted people
Well, the
to
good
buy
thing
and play the
about
game
this
themselves.
is the good thing about this is that starting in January, hopefully we'll get to see Nintendo relax these standards a little bit, or like you said, become a little bit more strict about them, but allow more videos
Yeah.
without copyright strikes.
Overall,
and
they're
things
going to
like
be
that.
more
And-
lenient, so it's a plus for content creators. But the rules that they do have set up, well, I'm pretty sure will be more enforced than
Sure,
before.
and
Again,
and
most of
that
these
leads
rules
us-
have been around since the start of the program. It's
Right.
just sometimes they enforce them and sometimes they don't.
And that leads us into this next little side topic about YouTube this week. Some early copies of Super Smash Brothers leaked out into the world. Particularly one physical copy was able to be procured, to which that person who had that promptly did what everyone does when they get a copy of a new game: dump the entire data ROM online for people to download on hacked switches, which then led certain YouTube streamers to stream whole parts of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 2 weeks before launch and think that possibly Nintendo wasn't going to do anything.
Right.
These two channels have now been permanently taken down and literally erased from YouTube at the behest of Nintendo, proving once again, don't mess with Nintendo about their original IP. Why would you do this? And here's the thing that to me has been the most hilarious thing about it all week long is seeing the articles. Did Nintendo go too far? Did Nintendo take it too seriously? No, they stole Smash Brothers.
Right. Well, the person who legitimately bought a copy early, I don't blame him. Blame the store that sold it, because
Sure.
they broke the street date. But yeah,
You blame him for dumping the ROM online?
Blame him for dumping the ROM and blame everyone else for downloading the damn thing. So, but I don't blame the original guy from buying it. But yes, blame him for dumping it and sharing it.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
why do you buy a game like that early? Right?
Right.
I mean, it's not just the honestly, for a lot of people, it's not just the excitement of having it 2 weeks early, because what can you do with it? He had it before review copies had it.
right. Because even if he went online, he can get his account banned online.
Exactly.
For logging into a game early. So
Right.
If you wanted to be super careful with this, you don't dump it, you don't share it, you don't even you shut off the Wi-Fi, keep everything local until
Sure.
the game launches.
And the thing is that review copies are out now. Reviewers do have Smash Brothers in their hands. So they only got, a few days on them. But in one of the interviews with one of these YouTubers, they literally said, I did it because I just wanted the views and I wanted all the money. That was the reason.
He's not getting money now.
No, he's not getting anything now.
Yeah, people
nuked.
think it's a smart idea and it'll bring in views and bring in revenue, but yeah, it doesn't help if you get your channel banned.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
More than just a video takedown. That's the entire channel.
And I bring that up just in this portion of the discussion because if Nintendo is going to notice that, and that's an extreme case, I would say, but they're also watching all of the content that's been put up,
Oh yeah,
right? There
are people there are people there, I'm sure, pays attention to this stuff,
Yeah.
and then reports it to their legal representatives, and then they're the ones who contact
Yeah,
you.
so if you're a content creator like we are, and this is going to affect you, which it will, then you may want to take a chance to look over those guidelines and refamiliarize yourself with them before that creators program change goes into effect at the beginning of January.
Yeah. Probably one of the best things about that program dissolving is there was a specific list of games that would qualify. So if you played any game that wasn't on the list, Nintendo could still take the revenue, but you couldn't claim any of it back. It had to be on that approved list. But now without the program, there is no list. So every game is fair game as long as it's legitimate.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
yeah, and then don't forget, as soon as all this is over, us in Europe, we've got Article 13 to fight off then.
Oh, right. I heard a little bit about that in Matt Pat video. I think you did a good job of explaining it.
So,
that's for an episode for a different time once we can research that one more.
If that actually happens, that's it. YouTube's done.
Yeah. Everything's done.
Yep. Well, let's use that to segue into this. Gary, you play Overwatch at all?
I do not at all.
Have you ever played Star Wars Battlefront 2?
Nope.
You ever played Diablo?
Nope.
My son has played. My son has played some CS:GO. If that helps.
Okay, so Counter-Strike Go.
I think that's one of the first games.
At this point, most of our listeners have probably played at least some game with loot boxes, right? The FTC has announced that they will begin to investigate loot boxes and other items in game like those, simply for the fact that they may not exactly be legal. And this is a developing story. It just kind of broke in the past week. But again,
several countries in Europe has declared them similar to gambling, and many companies have then taken the loot boxes out of their games in those countries, except for EA, that they're blatantly breaking the law and instead we're not doing it. They're keeping it in. I think it's maybe I even think in Brazil. Maybe I don't know. I don't remember which country, but there have been countries that have already put the ban hammer on stuff like this.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to change things here in America? Do you think that the FTC is going to get anything done with this? Well, here's a better question. What do you think about loot boxes?
I'm not a fan. There's like the mobile space, when most of the games with loot boxes are free to play with the microtransactions, those are a little more tolerable. Just as long as they're not pay to win, but if they're paid to just accessorize, that's different. But even pay to win is getting kind of lousy. But, Ubisoft, EA, Activision, they're all starting to have $60 games with loot boxes and microtransactions on top. And that's just ridiculous. And I'm a subscriber to Jimquisition, and he talks about this a lot and is a big proponent against the loot boxes. And I kind of agree with his stance on it.
Yeah, I think loot boxes are really bad, and they are a form of gambling, regardless if people say they aren't. They definitely are. I think that EA is going to cry heavily if they get taken away, and it means that a lot of companies are going to have to rethink their structure on how they make money. In the mobile space, it's going to be fairly heavy of a hit if they have to be taken away.
Even the recent games that has come out, the games have literally gotten more grindier to incentivize people to do the loot boxes to make it less grindy. So in other words, they're literally making the game less fun to try to make more money.
Yeah, I mean, guys, even think about this. Nintendo is even touched by this. Fire Emblem Heroes and Dragalia Lost are both examples, I think, of this, where you can purchase orbs or whatever, and the random character comes out.
Yeah.
So it's not just EA, even though I think EA kind of is the flagship for this. They're the ones who get the bumper sticker the most because of Star Wars Battlefront 2 and all the problems with that. The thing about the loot boxes is, as someone who has in the past spent a bit of money on loot boxes because of Overwatch costumes, I would be glad to see them go away. especially like in that case, like there were costumes that I really wanted during some of those Overwatch events, and I would have happily paid for that costume instead of getting the same one over and over and over again when I bought so many loot boxes to open. So like I see them having to refigure the money and everything like that, but I don't think that microtransactions are going to go away at all.
No.
Because of this. I think it's just gonna we have willingly submitted to our microtransaction overlords. See, like we've swallowed the line on it.
The trouble with loot boxes and making laws against loot boxes as well is it depends on how far it goes. Because the thing is, if it's a loot box that says, right, you buy this package, you have no idea what's in it. It could be a costume, it could be a character, it could be, game currency. That is bad because you have no idea what you're getting. Stuff like the orbs in Fire Emblem, you know what you're getting, you just have a random chance of the outcome. So it is a little bit different. And if they banned both of those sorts of loot boxes, does this mean that they'd also have to ban Pokemon cards? You have no idea what's in them when you buy them. Blind bags for kids' toys? Again, you have no idea what's in them.
I think this is just focused on the digital space, not necessarily the physical. But yeah, this whole concept
I
started
totally
with
get what Gary's talking about, though.
Going back to the baseball cards.
All of this it's cyclical. It feeds each other. Loot boxes and digital purchases and digital microtransactions have fueled blind bags, and the blind bags have fueled the loot boxes, and so on. So, I mean, if you have young children right now, you know that the most popular kind of toys are all blind bags, especially for girls. Like everything that my daughter has asked for Christmas is some kind of unboxing toy.
Right.
And
because those are also the YouTube fodder.
Yes, it drives me nuts. But those three things, and I forgot that, and I'm glad you mentioned that. It's all fed. Loot boxes and YouTube have fed that toy culture, and the toy culture feeds back to that. And so, like, all of that is this whole, like, if you look, everything is about do this and reveal which one you get, blah, 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 get the ultra rare, blah. And like, my wife and I were talking about this the other day, and she's like, I just don't understand why she likes those things. And I was like, I get it. It's an Overwatch loot box. If she opens it opens the right one, she gets the rare costume for Reinhardt. That she wanted so bad. I get why they do it. Yeah. I got to agree with Gary though that mobile is going to be the one that suffers the most from this, because almost 9 out of 10 mobile games, it's about microtransactions.
Right.
So what would you think that the ideal outcome? Say if they think that loot boxes are a bad thing, what would you say is the ideal outcome? That they just get rid of them completely?
Sell what's in the loot boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, like if
do what they do on Fortnite.
Right. Instead of saying buy this loot box and have a small percent chance, which they don't tell you it's 0.001.
Sure.
But instead say, here, you can buy this for $100, which is probably still cheaper than it would have cost if you bought that many loot boxes to try to get it.
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't think it's so bad. Like I was saying, that you still have the blind aspect of it. So, say going back to Fire Emblem, you buy the orbs, you're getting a character. I think that's actually fine. But I do think that if you're buying a pack and you have no idea if you're just getting currency, a character, a costume, a message, a tag, a dance, I think that's bad. When you have no idea what's in it, that's bad.
Yeah. So what you're saying is buying a chance at a costume, or buying a chance at an emote, or buying a chance at an accessory.
Yeah. If it's a random chance of anything, but
but that's still gambling.
Yeah,
it's still gambling, but it's not quite as bad as, I mean, if everything's in the same pool, it's a even worse form of gambling, because not only are you up against all the different costumes in the game, but then you're up against all the different characters in the game. You're up against all different emotes, all different dances, all that sort of stuff.
You asked what the outcome is. I want this to go away, and the reason I want it to go away is because I don't want it to proliferate in the video game industry anymore. Like I think that it's too easy for companies to leave games unfinished and then supplement with loot boxes and other kind of crap like that than for them to just make whole games.
Ideally, I think the best way for them to do it is if you put a cap on the spend of the game. If they're over so much and they can't have loot boxes, I think freemium games should definitely still be able to, because that is the way that they get money. Because at the end of the day, it's all dog eat dog, right? People hate the mobile space who are into consoles, but the mobile space has basically generated more games and a wealthier gaming environment for everybody, really. It's put investments back into the industry. You know, there's more games, more devs, more people willing to go from mobile to make home console games, which we've seen on the Switch a lot. It's healthy, right, for mobile to exist. So if all of a sudden these loot boxes are taken away and the mobile space crashes, that means that the consoles are going to also crash because the industry is going to do worse. So it's an incredibly tough balance. It's not as easy as just saying loot boxes out, that's it, they're finished. So you have to kind of be careful what you wish for with this, I think. Yeah. And I think that to a point, loot boxes need to exist for the mobile space. So the laws have got to be clever about the way that they do this. Right. Otherwise, they're going to shaft it.
But the problem we're seeing now in the console space is every AAA game outside of Nintendo's games has some form of this garbage.
Yeah, and that's bad.
And like 95%, I would say, is like that. Here's a few things from chat. Third strongest mole. Suddenly, Mario Run doesn't look so crazy.
Right?
Love it. Best comment of the week, that one.
Ibusel says Dragon Soul added percentages to loot boxes. I will add because of legislation in certain countries. They didn't do that willingly. So he also said he has a friend who put $300 in a mobile game over 2 years for in-app purchases, energy, and the game shut down, money gone. And I was going to add, the only game I've ever done loot boxes in was a mobile game, Knights and Dragons. I played like 3 or 4 years ago, and I probably put several $100s into that game as well. And I eventually had to walk away from it because the game catered to the whales. No matter how much I tried to get better gear, the best gear was more and more inaccessible unless I was willing to literally throw thousands of dollars at this a week. So I'm like,
that's ridiculous.
No. Yeah, I think once I put in $100 and won in a single shot just because I had a bonus and had a little extra money to blow. But I would normally do like $20 or $30 every
any game.
Month or so.
Any game that once you have put money into it, either to purchase or you've put money into it to a certain point, that it requires money for you to win it. That's not a game,
right?
Anymore. That's an expense, and that's my worry with games in general, is that line is so easily blurred now, right? Yeah. And I mean, going back to EA, they really tried to blur that line with Star Wars Battlefront 2, with making like character abilities and weapons and things locked behind a loot box paywall, and that's not fair.
Or
I think I can draw the line. Honestly, I think I can draw the line of, if loot boxes are just cosmetic and it's just fun things for a game and you want to spend money on that,
like
I
Fortnite.
get that. Like Fortnite. But if it comes down to, hey, you can't progress in this game unless you buy this, that's why the Toys to Life bubble burst.
Yep.
So, and it just ends up being bad for games, because is Skylanders around anymore? No. Is Lego Dimensions around? No. Is Disney Infinity around? No. None of that is around, right? Amiibo's barely hanging on by a thread. And they don't even have games.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason Amiibo is still around is because we are thirsty as a community for Nintendo collectibles.
And to be honest, Amiibo in my area here is non-existent at all.
Yeah.
There is no shelf space for Amiibo. I haven't even seen the Inklings, the Octolings anywhere.
There is no Amiibo shelf space at my local Walmart. Mm-hmm. They've got tons of accessories, no Amiibo. My GameStop, which used to have an entire wall for Amiibo, gone.
Yeah.
Best Buy has a very small section. I was just there today, and they've trotted out like Pac-Man. Like they for some reason have exclusive rights to resell Pac-Man in America. That's like that. That's their contribution to Smash Ultimate. I don't know. We're gonna move on from this. Here's what we say: loot box bad. So just don't get loot boxes. Masahiro Sakurai has revealed today in an interview, or this week in an interview, that Smash Bros. Ultimate will receive a day one patch for physical editions. Only the downloadable version will have this patch included. It has to do with replays, videos that are associated with the game. Apparently there was some stutter with video and audio syncing up. This will fix those. It's around 150 megabyte day one download. So not too big, not too bad. You don't have to really wait a long time to do anything. But just be aware there will be a day one patch for Smash Bros. Ultimate if you're buying the physical edition before you're able to play. Speaking of physical editions, rumors have swirled this week about Skyward Sword HD on the Switch. Apparently, Eiji Aonuma made a comment at a symphony in Japan that was construed to mean that Skyward Sword HD was going to be coming on the Switch. The rumors got so bad that Nintendo actually made a comment. I thought, it's a pretty big deal when Nintendo comments on rumors. Basically, they gave the same old line, "We have no plans at this time for Skyward Sword HD." Here's my question to you guys and to the chat and to anyone watching or listening. Do you think it's no plans at this time or no plans at all? Do you think we're getting Skyward Sword HD somewhere?
I don't think so. The Joy-Con just doesn't work the same as Wii Motion Plus. It's probably, it does some things better, but just in order for the game to work right, because I'm thinking back to 7 Billion Humans. It had pointer controls, and they were kind of lousy. I literally had to recenter it every 10, 15 seconds. I wouldn't want to play a Zelda game that way.
I actually think the Joy-Cons will work perfectly for it. I'm completely different to Jesse. I think that it is happening. I think that Nintendo are basically just kicking sand over their footprints to try and cover up their tracks. And yeah,
I think they're trying to cover up for something coming at the Game Awards.
Yeah, probably. Yep. And I think that Skyward Sword's one of those games that gets a lot of hate, even though at the time it was released, it was critically acclaimed. I think that there's a bit of a bandwagon effect with it as well, which I think is sort of not really fair to the game, because it has annoyances. Motion controls are a thing of the past in terms of that much motion control anyway. But it's a solid game in there altogether, and it is the best Zelda game for storytelling.
I'll agree with you on that.
I think that it would be a cool game to come over. The option to not have the motion controls would be welcome. And I think
that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping we were getting Skyward Sword HD with no motion controls, just like we got Twilight Princess with no motion controls.
Yeah.
See, the difference is motion controls in Twilight Princess was waggle. It wasn't actual swordplay, so they could map that to a button. But Skyward Sword, so much of everything is reliant on everything,
Oh yeah, even the boss key, like for the boss door in each dungeon.
And that was the worst part of the game.
Absolutely, I hated it.
I hated the rotating key.
To this day, Zelda 2 and Skyward Sword are the only Zelda games that I have never finished.
I've played through Skyward Sword twice.
I just couldn't do it. Like, I could not stand going back to the same three places over and over and over again.
I remember what I said back on VG Tribune Roundtable about this game when we had that show. I beat it in about 50 hours. I said if it was a 30-hour game, it would be awesome, but there was so much bloat. It was unnecessary.
I'll agree with that. But it had an amazing hero mode.
I don't like hero modes.
Worth the second playthrough.
I remember working my way up the mountain to get to a door, just to find out, oh, the key's split in 5 places, all across the mountain. Go find them. I'm like, no, I don't want to go back down just to come back up again.
Yeah, there was too much backtracking in that game. I can't change my opinion on it. It was not
completely unnecessary.
It felt very unnecessary. Speaking of something that's not unnecessary, or not unnecessary. I don't even know. Speaking of segues that don't work,
Right.
let's talk about Black Friday. Things that don't work in the UK. Black Friday. However, as I told Gary leading up to Black Friday here in America, they work here because we Americans love a good hysteria. And speaking of that hysteria, Nintendo has put out numbers about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And I think these are worth giving a little bit of attention to and talking about. First off, Nintendo Switch was the top-selling console online for Black Friday. It beat the Xbox One. It beat the PlayStation 4, even though those consoles were being offered with 2 great games, Minecraft and Spider-Man, for $100 less.
Now,
I think
are they including? Because they each have 2 SKUs. They have the Xbox One S and Xbox One X, and the PlayStation 4 Slim and the PlayStation 4 Pro.
This are they by Adobe? You know, they do a big I forget what it is. They do a big write-up on Black Friday every year after it's over with. This Nintendo Switch was the top-selling console of the entire weekend.
It'd be interesting to know if they counted the SKUs separately or together.
I don't know that. I do know that the Switch was the only console to be included in the top 5 best-selling items of the weekend. So I think that's notable as well. Nintendo has also reported that as of this weekend, 8.2 million Switches have been sold just in the North American territory alone, and that sales over the Thanksgiving weekend topped that of the Wii during its launch holiday, which that's pretty easy because nobody could find a Wii for Black Friday that year anyway. But, well, let's take that back. Sales that year were very strong for the Wii. Mm-hmm. And so that we joke about it, but that was a pretty impressive number, but they have topped that. The Switch also, over the weekend, Thanksgiving to Cyber Monday, became the fastest selling Nintendo console in U.S. history. And guys, that made me raise my eyebrows a little bit. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Look, they've already surpassed the 2 consoles' lifetimes in less than 2 years. Yep.
Switch also had its best-selling week since March 2017, and Nintendo reports that $250 million was spent on Nintendo products alone from November 22nd through November 26th.
Yeah, this includes just a little bit of revenue generation.
NES, games, all that, right? As of this weekend, the total install base of Nintendo 3DS has hit 22 million. The SNES Classic...
That's just North America numbers, right?
That's just North America numbers. That's correct. SNES Classic has surpassed 2.5 million sold in the U.S. NES Classics have surpassed 2 million sold. And now, along with those numbers, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has become the most pre-ordered Smash and Switch title of all time.
Now, this is a bit of a hot take and opinion on this, because people go, well, that's a sign of how good Smash is. Yeah, but also there is a hell of a lot more people who have Switches now. It's like if Mario Odyssey came out next year instead of when it did, then that might be the most pre-ordered.
Now it'd be the fastest selling Mario game of all time.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, it's like people are like, oh yeah, Mario Odyssey outsold Breath of the Wild. But if it was the other way around, would Breath of the Wild sold more than Mario Odyssey maybe? So I understand that, like, you know, Smash is a big game and stuff like that. But there's always going to be a more pre-ordered game down the line to a point where the install base starts to die off. 3DS.
I mean, that's now, Gary, that's hypothetical. And here's why I'm going to push back on that a little bit. Because if a game comes out down the road, right? Mm-hmm. Animal Crossing. Let's say Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody who pre-ordered Smash is going to pre-order Animal Crossing.
Yeah, but also, how many Switches are out in the wild now?
Somewhere over 20 million.
When Mario Odyssey came out, I think it was around at about 3 to 5, maybe. It's a difference.
It was climbing. It was climbing north of 5.
It was around 12 because Odyssey sold 10
it was
million
around 12.
10 million before the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I think
I get what you're saying, though. I get what
probably
you're saying.
guess after this weekend worldwide, Switch probably has 25, 26 million worldwide.
So can we say this by the end of the year, based off of Gary's prediction, and I'm just running with what you're saying. By the end of the year of 2018, Smash is going to be the highest selling Switch game of all time.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I mean, if pre-order numbers are this braggable,
I'd say end of fiscal year maybe, but remember you're giving this game 3 weeks.
There's a lot of people going to be downloading this game.
Oh yeah, it'll sell at least 10 million.
I'm
sure it'll be at least 10 million at the end of the within 2 weeks.
Okay, so let's do this, Jesse. Make some notes here. I know sometimes you take notes. In what is the attach rate of Smash going to be by the end of the physical year? That's what
I have no idea.
We're going to guess.
I have
attach
no
rate of
idea.
Smash by the end of the physical year.
I have no idea in what any ball game any attach rate is.
No,
at
you
all.
have to make one. I'm sorry. You just guess.
Well, what's the attach rate of stuff like Mario Kart and Odyssey at the minute?
You would ask.
I think they're in the 40s to 50s.
Okay, 30. If Mario Kart's in the 40s, then I would say 25 to 30.
I'm looking it up right now. Just for you, because you asked Jill. No, that wasn't it. That's about Mario Kart 8 on.
I have one little comment with a big stick staring in a pot. Got everyone fired up. It's amazing.
I love it. Now we're all Googling furiously. No, I mean I think that's a pretty good number.
Yeah, and look, it's nothing against the Testament of Smash or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is where the Switch is settling in. We've got Pokemon out, we've got Smash out, but for it to be the most pre-ordered game, well, yeah, it's kind of going to be when the sales are doubled of the console. Well, it's like just wait till
Mario Kart 9. I think the quote was pre-ordered Smash game.
Yeah.
So, which I don't know. I'm going to guess a little higher. I'm going to guess 40%.
Yeah, I mean, even that sort of still makes sense. I mean, it's a Smash released on a console that's actually doing well. So that kind of, yeah.
And it's not like the Wii U 3DS, so they had to split it between 2 games. There's one game that can do both.
Yeah.
I am going to say 45%. I'll shoot the moon.
If we didn't live so far away, I would definitely bet a steak dinner on this one.
I can send you a drawing of the steak.
Send me a PayPal bill for a steak dinner.
Yeah, I'll go out and have a steak dinner, and you can we'll submit it to the to reimbursement. No, guys, I really think that it's going to drive hardware sales. I think it drove hardware sales during Black Friday here in the U.S. But I think we talked about that, and I predicted it too. I think several others did as well. There were so many bundle options out, as well as that really sweet $2.99 Mario Kart, basically getting Mario Kart for free bundle. I saw lots of people walking out of Walmart on Black Friday evening with those. So the Diablo bundle, what I'm interested in is seeing which bundle sold more.
Fortnite.
Did the Fortnite bundle sell more?
I have a feeling we're never going to see those numbers.
Oh no, no. No, because Nintendo doesn't want to talk about those numbers. Just a couple of other little news items before we get into our gift guide. Jackbox Games announced Jackbox for Business this week, which lets bars and other businesses add Jackbox games playable at the venue for their patrons. No pricing was included in this announcement, other than you can contact Jackbox Games directly, and you can fill out a form on their website for that. I think that's pretty neat. It's showing the wider appeal of those games.
Yeah, I've been to bars that'll have like a digital poker game going on and a
like
quiz
trivia
game,
night.
Trivia, yeah. And it's, people have the little pads and answer it in. And I think having Jackbox available would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I would like to go to one of those events.
At least I know my family doesn't like to play it as often as I do. But if I knew a local bar, I'd go every once in a while.
Can you imagine Monster Seeking Monster? And one of those events? No,
I won't. No, but
Jackbox. Now, like, you don't know Jack, Trivia, and some of the others. Bracketeering.
I wonder if some of the games may
good for that.
I wonder if they're going to be altered to allow more than 8 players, or are they still going to be 8 players with a larger audience?
Maybe that's where the audience mode comes in.
The audience is local people too. I can see that.
That would be neat. One last news item here. Mario Tennis Aces will add Luma, Pauline, and Boom Boom in early 2019, along with doubles for online play. You'll be able to go online and play 2 people on one team from the same console, or you can go online and join up with a friend or join up with a random person to play online doubles. But they will also add PD Piranha and Shy Guy characters as well. I believe that is going to be by the end of the year, with Luma, Pauline, and Boom Boom coming in 2019, along with the doubles update as well. So if you're looking for Mario Tennis Aces, more fun with that, extending the garbage fire a little bit longer, you can play with new characters. I imagine these are going to be characters that are available via online tournaments. Just like they have been in the past, just free update characters or whatever that you can get by participating in those tournaments. But we don't. Those are all the details that we have right now. Also, December 5th, Splatoon 2 will receive its final content update. Final content update coming with, I believe, the 4.2.3 update adds in 8 new guns. And some 8 new weapons and some new styles and different things like that. But it will be the last weapon and content update for Splatoon 2, which means most likely that team is moving on to work on Splatoon 3. Wouldn't you say that's obvious?
I actually think, and I'd put money down to say that we probably will see a Splatoon 3 on Switch. I know that Nintendo likes to sort of have one of its major franchise per console, but I think the Splatoon's a little bit different, and I think we will see.
It came out too early in the console's life cycle.
Yeah, same with Mario Kart 9. I think that's a given that will come out on Switch as well.
That's happening. That's definitely happening. Well, guys, at this time we're going to launch into our 2018 holiday gift guide. What we wanted to do for you this year on the precipice of Christmas was to give you just a rundown of some things that we think should be on your list. And if you're looking for recommendations for Nintendo fans in your life, or just looking for some recommendations for things to put on your list, let us help you this year by talking about some of our favorite things from 2018. And so we're going to break this down into 5 categories: Switch games, 3DS games, Switch accessories, 3DS accessories, and Nintendo collectibles and toys and miscellanea. Basically, any little catch-all category there. So let's begin with Switch games. We asked the guys. Justin has contributed some. Tim Off has contributed some as well. But the 3 of us are here and ready to share as well. So, guys, let's start here. Switch games. What needs to be on people's list for Christmas here at the end of the year?
So I think, for me personally, let's take this sort of point of view of someone who hasn't got a Switch. I think that the big hitters, Mario Kart, Mario Odyssey, Zelda, Splatoon 2, are definitely ones. If you got younger kids, maybe Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Labo is always a good one. 6+ sort of age, and if they're hardcore, Monster Hunter. And if you've got a friend who you're who's getting a Switch for Christmas and they have a bit of messy hair and it drives you mental, then buy them Dark Souls because they won't have any hair at the end of it because they would have pulled it out. I know I am at the minute.
That's why.
Yeah, how's that journey going, by the way?
I save the games. I take my time. I don't rush them. So I think I'm about 15 hours in on Dark Souls, and I've just got past the tutorial. No, I'm getting there. I think slowly but surely I'm getting there.
Right. Right. Jesse, what about you? Games that you recommend for the Switch for 2018?
Well, I wrote down mostly, a lot of the obvious ones, which he already mentioned. Some that he didn't mention are, for the younger kids, if you're into the dance games, Just Dance 2019. And I added a Jackbox Party Pack, either 3, 4, or 5. That's for under $30.
Awesome. I went in a little bit of a different direction than either of you guys. I think that Super Mario Party is a must-have for everybody for the Switch for this year. It's a load of fun. I think it's even fun single player because you're able to bring the computer players along with you and play. But the part of the fun of the Switch is its portability and you being able to take it with you and play at Christmas with your cousins or at the Christmas party or over at a friend's house and able to break off those Joy-Cons and just play a bunch of party games, I think is really cool. Of course, Smash is on my list. I think that's a given that everybody needs to pick up Smash, even if you don't like it. I don't know. I know Jesse doesn't like Smash. He's sitting here and he's like, "Nah, I'm not picking it up."
I'm not picking it up for me, but my son already is. He's already bought it.
So Smash is a given on my list. I think Gary, did you mention Pokemon Let's Go?
Yeah, I didn't, but it is on the list.
That's why I saw it on your list. So I think Pokemon Let's Go is an excellent pickup, especially if you have kids. This is something they can help you walk through, or you can help them walk through, and have a ton of fun. It's a great adventure. I've had a lot of fun working my way through it. I think I'm about halfway right now, but I think it's just so well done that I think it's turned a lot of the critics around too. If you've noticed, not a lot of people criticizing it anymore. I agree with Jesse on the Jackbox Party Pack, but I also think you should add Starlink to your list because every Switch needs an epic space adventure, and it's even better with Star Fox. So the Switch is the definitive version, and then I'm just going to say this one because I have to. Enter the Gungeon needs to be on your list. It is, and I hate to say this, but if you didn't go on the eShop over the last week, you just missed it. It was just on sale for 50% off. It was like $7.49 over here. So it's $15 for never-ending, constantly rearranging Gungeon fun. You need this on your Switch. So let's talk about some of these here.
Then, of course, for a new Switch owner who wouldn't have gotten the games from last year, definitely Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild.
Sure.
Those you have to have those.
Gary, you had something you were going to add?
Yeah, I think after we finish all... sorry, you finished your list, Marty, yeah?
Yeah, I have.
For the list. Okay, so let's do something a little different, right? We've all got Switches and the family's around, so we're not buying games as a gift for people, but we want to play some games with the whole family. So, what would you recommend for that? Jesse said Jackbox. I haven't played a Jackbox, so maybe that's one that I'll get. Marty, you said Mario Party there?
Mario Party is going to be mine because it's so accessible.
Okay, I'm going to say another one which isn't going to be on anybody's list, but I think for a party game it's completely perfect, is 1-2 Switch. Because because 1-2 Switch, anyone can play that game. That's the point in that game. So, you can... I got to choose my words carefully. You can get your nan to milk a cow. You could get your cousin to count the balls in the Joy-Con. They're tongue-in-cheek games.
Nintendo, I think, really missed an opportunity this holiday season to put that game on a super deep discount and sell a crap ton of them.
Completely. So
$15 just and leave it there, right? 15,
Right.
$20, make it a $19.99 budget title.
Well,
and
I don't disagree with you. It is, it's a game that you should try once, but most of those games really once you played it once, you really don't want to go back to it. There are a small number of games that you'd want to go back and play again.
The crazy thing about it is my daughter loves 1-2 Switch, and every time she has friends over, that's what they do. They play 1-2 Switch.
Where I agree with you, Jesse, but every time you have some beer, those games become amazing again. So, so that's on my any of the games which you guys would.
This is what I drink. So,
any of the games you suggest for the family coming around? I mean, there is Monopoly as well, which could be one. But hey, let's crack open the actual Monopoly.
I will say this to that note. Over the Thanksgiving holiday, I purchased Wheel of Fortune for the Switch, thinking that this would be a game, that my wife and I could play with her mom and dad, because they're big Wheel of Fortune fans, or play with my mom. She refused because my mom doesn't like fun. But we played it, and it's actually pretty good. You 3 people can play. It's all like one single Joy-Con player. I noticed there's Jeopardy out too. And Hasbro actually has a 3-pack out right now of Monopoly, Trivial Pursuit, and Risk.
Yeah, they're all on one card if you buy it physically, and they're all on eShop separately.
Yeah,
so if you don't want one, you can buy the other 2 and save a little money.
It equals up to the same total if you buy them digitally. But we tried there's a Trivial Pursuit demo, and we tried it, and that was actually pretty fun. My wife loves trivia games. But it's one that we could play with the kids because you don't know Jack on the Jackbox Party Pack. It says on there it's very family unfriendly. and we won't play that with the kids.
So I think the only other game on my list there would be Just Dance. I think Just Dance is great fun. So
my daughter has asked for that for Christmas. So
I was looking at the eShop to see to get a pull ideas, and Just Dance 2019 is actually priced less than Just Dance 2018.
Yeah, it's on sale right now.
Is it on sale? Is that why? Okay,
I believe so. Justin says to add to this list, just get a $50 eShop card and grab some amazing indies. Glad that he elaborated on that. Tim says, Flipping Death for its enthralling story-driven gameplay, Rogue Aces exhilarating arcade, airplane shooter, Super Mario Party best family game, a group of Jackbox games best for parties, and Horizon Chase Turbo, awesome arcade racing game on the Switch to date, as well as some games on his wish list, Starlink, Mutant Football League, and Diablo. And I would totally agree with Mutant Football League and Diablo. Those are great single player, but they're even better multiplayer.
Tim's list is very varied there, isn't it?
They kind of scratch that adult-ish itch as well, right?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to just say I haven't got to spend as much time with it as I want to, but every time I play Diablo 3, I have a great time with it. Like, I love it.
Yeah,
game looks fantastic.
I bought that on PC when it was new, and I need to replay it.
There was a glitch over the weekend on Black Friday where they had it for $17 for Xbox One and PS4, and they started selling the Switch version of that as well at Walmart. And so a ton of people got Diablo 3 brand new for $17.
I
there was another game they did that with too. I forget what it was.
There was Diablo was in sale over here in one of the online catalog shops, and it wasn't in stock for very, very long, but it was a bargain. Yeah,
$17 for that game is an absolute steal. Fantastic. Guys, any more games for the Switch we want to mention and throw out there?
I've exhausted my list.
Okay.
No, I think that really, I mean, it seems that the majority of our list is sort of, physical games as well. There is an absolute ton of indie games on there, and I think that my advice to anyone looking for games over the holidays is just have a look at some sales. Anything that catches your eye, just get it. I mean, you're talking maybe a couple of dollars at times. Yeah. But it is kind of harder to go through that eShop catalog. What you should be buying from there. Mm-hmm. So, like Justy said, get a $50 card and get some indies is incredibly easy to say, but when you're cycling through 1,000 games, it can get a little bit daunting.
I know Justin would probably recommend Overcooked or Overcooked 2.
Yeah, that was what I was kind of getting to, is that there is some really good family games in there as well, like the Overcooked games, yeah.
Astro Duel Deluxe, Towerfall, several games that are out. And I will say this too, if you're looking for a very solid, fantastic single-player experience, you cannot miss with Celeste, which, by the way, is up for Game of the Year at the Game Awards, which is pretty given. So that one's out there too. Great list, guys. Let's move on to 3DS games. I found this one to be a little bit more difficult, but I'll go ahead and start with mine because I've only got 3 on here. I definitely think these are from 2018. WarioWare Gold and Luigi's Mansion 3DS remake definitely need to be on your list. They offer completely different gameplay experiences. Luigi's Mansion being more story-driven, point A to point B. WarioWare Gold being that I love that there is a story in WarioWare and you're unlocking things, but I also love to be able to go back and try to beat my own time and beat my own numbers on those challenges and unlock gadgets and different things that you can get through doing those. But the other game that I would recommend for 3DS is Metroid Samus Returns, which came out actually in 2017. But if you've not played that game, it's up there for me with Metroid Fusion for best Metroid game that has ever been created. I mean, I know some people default to Super Metroid. Gary's over there shaking his head. But Metroid Fusion is the best Metroid game that was ever made. Deal with it. But Metroid Samus Returns is there at number 2 with Super Metroid. All right? It's right there. They're competing. They're constantly going back and forth in my mind. And you know, right below them is the other greatest Metroid game remain. And let me just set this podcast on fire by saying this. Metroid Other M, third greatest Metroid game ever made. Deal with it. Anyway, Gary, now that you've shook your head disapprovingly at my 3DS list, what are yours?
Well, I'm the 3DS guy, I think. I picked up every major game that got released, I think, this year. And there's some good ones. But so there's 2 ways you could tackle this list. Someone who's never had a 3DS, which is really unlikely, or someone who... Or let's say someone who you're buying a new 2DS for, who's sort of been swaying off it for a while. So in terms of someone who's new, any of the Nintendo Selects line pretty much. I mean, there's some amazing games in there for really cheap. So for the price of one game, you could buy them 2 or 3. So I think they're a really good starting point anyway. And I think that honestly, Selects need to kind of start on the Switch as well soon. But then there's a game that a lot of people are going to overlook for 3DS because the Switch version got talked about. I actually think it was better on 3DS, which is Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. It's a really good port of that game. Really, really good port of that game.
Why is it better on 3DS? That's what I want to know.
Touchscreen. Okay. Microphone. It's you know.
I gotcha.
Yeah, the Switch version just lost a little bit of it because
meant to work like it did on the Wii U.
Yeah, it just really works on the 3DS. Detective Pikachu, the film's coming up. Pokemon's all the rage at the minute again. Really good game. Definitely for the younger generation. But yeah, can't recommend that one enough. Dylan's Rolling West was pretty cool. Which came out this year, as well as the Luigi's Mansion remake and WarioWare Gold. I'd say of those games, WarioWare Gold is probably the one that takes the crown, so I'd recommend that as well.
Yeah, Jesse, you got any recommendations?
Yeah, I have a few games. I said Pokemon Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon, which is the latest iteration of Pokemon that was released on 3DS. I think it was last year. And then for $20 games, they have Ocarina of Time 3D, which we talked about a little bit last week, as probably being the best version of that game.
Oh, absolutely.
Along with Link Between Worlds. And I also added Tomodachi Life, just because it's a weird little game.
I love Tomodachi Life. I love that quirky Nintendo-ness about it, and just the voices that everyone talks about or talks in. So weird. So weird. I need to make you guys and move you into my Tomodachi Life.
We, with the 3DS going away soon, we need a definitive top list and our picks, because that'll be one that we'll all fight over.
Well,
that'll be a great episode.
Yeah,
so.
It will be. Write that down. That's Gary mandates the definitive 3DS top 10 list. I love it.
Yeah.
We'll do it like we did the Wii U where I was on my second episode ever and made Justin hate me forever by removing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's. Ooh, I like it. I like it. Let's start.
Then we had the Devil's Third problem, so I don't know if we want to go there.
Yeah, there'll be no Devil's Third. Who put that on the list, by the way?
Well, I don't remember.
Was that Barry?
Barry, yeah. Barry's the one person who brought that game, and he brought it like 3 or 4 times.
Yep, Devil's Third. We're not. Barry can't be on the show when that. No, he can't.
Sorry, Barry.
Fine. It's fine. Justin doesn't give us any recommendations for 3DS, but Tim does. He says, make the new 2DS or 3DS your Nintendo Classics system. Luigi's Mansion, WarioWare Gold, Captain Toad, all have been mentioned already. But he said, add as well a wide variety of virtual console games that you can't get on Nintendo Online or the Nintendo Classics hardware. And he is so right about that.
Yeah. Just note for Super Nintendo. Yeah, and we've heard it. You've heard it before if you've been listening for long enough. But Super Nintendo Virtual Console can only be played on new systems.
Yeah.
So the old 3DS
or 3DS, which means that those bundles that they just sold of the Mario Maker 2DS Doorstop Edition cannot play Super Nintendo Virtual Console.
Right.
So if you're listening and you bought one of those, hoping to play that, sorry, it's not going to happen. However, you can get the ultra cool, and I will recommend this. This is my hardware recommendation for 3DS, because there are multiple versions that you can get right now. I would totally recommend, if you're jumping in for the first time, Amazon exclusive Super Nintendo version of the 3DS that Jesse has, that comes preloaded with Super Mario Kart for the SNES. That is such a fantastic version of that console to have, and it has the full 3D and everything. Otherwise, get the 2DS XL, the new one. That one is a really, really solid buy.
Yeah, for buying a 3DS, I think that the Mario Maker 2DS was a really good bundle. I actually still play Mario Maker on the 3DS. It's one of those games where I'll pick up and play a couple of matches. And Mario Maker's at its best right now as well. So that's actually a really good package to buy at the minute. If you owned Mario Maker on the Wii U and got a little bit bored of it, like I did, it's actually good to go to now, because there's only good levels left. A lot of the trash levels are gone. And, creating levels on it and sharing them is a bit pointless, but the library that you can download is still amazing. But another recommendation I'd actually make for 3DS is the Minecraft system. It's a really cool looking one for the kids, especially, the sort of not so young that they needed 2DS because they'd wreck it, but old enough that they can have a hinged model. Minecraft, it's actually a good educational game in a way. It can introduce kids into circuitry and some sort of engineering in a way that you wouldn't expect a game like that to do. So
I do think it's important that we note that the 3DS Minecraft only plays on those new 3DS models as well. Yeah. And also that it is behind the console version.
Yeah.
In updates. So just be mindful of that. If you play Minecraft, or if you're familiar with Minecraft and you're wanting to, get your kids into it if they're not already, and you want to pick it up on a console, it's a good version, but it's just behind.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make that clear. Let's continue on with 3DS here. I think this would be a good time to talk about 3DS accessories, and just what we think. If somebody's buying a 3DS for the first time, or a 2DS, what are some things that you think that they need to buy along with that system?
So none of us really writ anything on here.
I've got some stuff.
For me, I think the standard, a case and some, something that can carry games is a given.
And it's hard to pinpoint that because there are so many 3DS cases.
Hundreds of them.
You just need to be sure it's one that fits your model.
Yeah.
Which can be hard to find, but they're out there. I think extra stylus.
Other than the doorstop 2DS, most of them will fit all the other ones because there's only a small difference between, like, if it'll fit the new 3DS, it'll fit the original one too.
Sure.
So like the carrying case I picked out was, you can get on Amazon for $16. It's again, it says it's good for new Nintendo 3DS XL, 2DS XL, 3DS. It fits a wall charger. It fits 24 games, and it comes with a extra large stylus.
Is that the Amazon Basics version?
No, it's a Brendo.
Brendo. Okay. So I just wanted to throw a brand name out there for people so that they could search and be a part of that. I think that also a good case, that extra large stylus, especially if you're getting a 2DS XL, the stylus on it is the absolute worst part of that system.
Y'all know how much Picross I play, right?
Yeah.
If I try to play it on that thin little thing, my fingers hurt within 10 minutes. So I need the bigger stylus to play those. I mean, that's pen sized.
Right. So that's really cool. I think, I don't know if you could technically classify this as an accessory, but I'm going to. Every 3DS needs to come with an eShop card because there are so many games on the 3DS eShop. And again, if you're just getting into the 3DS, you have missed a wealth of games. Mario games, Zelda, like Gary has already mentioned, the Nintendo Selects line. There's some great games there. Those Nintendo Select prices carry over to the eShop as well. So Mario 3D Land and some of those other ones would be good. But there's also, several indies there. Although you do have to be careful because there's also a lot of shovelware garbage on the 3DS eShop as well.
Yeah, if you're going to go into the eShop, I'd recommend going into the bestseller section and just kind of starting at the top and look down.
Yep.
You're not going to find trash until you get to about page 8.
Yep. Tim gave us a list here on our doc. A Dream Gear brand comfort grip, a charging stand, and PDP clip armor. I will tell you that Nintendo makes fantastic charging stands for the 3DS that allow you to kind of display them as well as charge them at the same time. We have one for the new 2DS XL and one for the new 3DS. There's the new 2DS or the 3DS XL one. We had one of those as well. And they just work by literally plugging in the charger that comes in the box, and then you put the system in there like it's supposed to fit.
Did you say for the new 2DS XL? I didn't think they had it for those.
Well, Nintendo doesn't have one, but I was able to find one on Amazon that I was satisfied with.
How does that work?
And it was like $5 or $6.
How does it work? Because it doesn't have the 2-pin prong like the other ones.
It actually has. This one charges by micro USB, and it has
just goes straight in.
It has a pin, or it has the actual plug from the end of the charging cable that sticks up inside the dock, and you just plug it down into that.
In the same way that the Switch dock.
Pretty sturdy.
So, I mean, 3DS accessories is a weird one because the 3DS doesn't need as many accessories as like the Switch and that. I don't believe. I like some of the suggestions from Tim. One thing I think needs to be suggested for the 3DS. I don't people are going to be angry with me for saying that I don't think you need it on the Switch half as much, is an SD card of some sort, and you have to be careful because the older models use a big SD and the new ones use a micro. And the reason I say that it needs it over the Switch is because on the Switch you have like archiving features and stuff, so it's easy to get rid of the actual data of the game but re-download it. The 3DS is a pain. If you get rid of the game, it's a nightmare to get the games back. So having everything on the system on that is much, much better. So I'd say
you definitely don't have that on the 3DS.
Also, in terms of grips, I think that that's a good suggestion. Now, the newer models don't need it because they have the little C-stick thumb thing. But if you've got an older model 3DS, I actually think the best accessory that's ever got released for it was the thing that I call the Frankenstick, which is the Circle Pad Pro. Yeah,
I've never owned one.
I'm gonna say this now: that little thumbstick that comes with the new 2DS and the new 3DSs it's so awful. Like it really is awful. I thought mine was broke the other day. It wasn't. It just stopped responding for a short while.
You know, I thought mine was broke when I got it for the first time. Got it out of the box, and it didn't move.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't there's not much physical movement to it. It just, you push it and it works.
Yeah, it's almost like one of those pressure mouse things that you see on a laptop where you're not actually moving it like a joystick, you're just kind of putting pressure on the side and it's reacting to it.
Yeah. I do think it's one of those pressure mouse things. So
the Circle Pad Pro is it's both a grip and the best solution to having the other stick on a 3DS, in my opinion.
Yep. I will take this time to recommend one more accessory for the 3DS, and that is a garbage can. Hey-oh!
Oh!
Let's move on to Switch accessories.
Well, I have some accessories here. So,
sorry, Jesse.
Well, this is probably not as needed because of the clamshell on most systems, but if you have a younger person, it still may be handy. Axwox has a tempered glass screen protector similar to what we recommended in the past for Switch. Amazon has a 2-set for $8. I also added a charging stand. I found a Yunik, Younik, for $10. Those are for the new 3DS and new 2DS. I don't think for the 2DS, just the new 3DSs. I mentioned 32 gig, but those 64 gigs will work, even though they're not advertised as working. So you can get a 32 gig from Amazon for less than $8, and a 64 for less than $12. And then I added the Dream Gear 3DS XL gaming pack, which is basically a little box that can store 16 games, I think. And it comes with a few extra styluses, including 2 of them that are the big jumbo ones that I like.
Nice. How much is that pack again?
That was about $8
for the whole thing. For the Dream Gear.
Yeah, $8 for both the game case and the styluses.
That's a pretty good deal. I will definitely tell you that replacement styluses, especially if you have young kids playing with the system, are absolutely necessary.
I think I bought like 100 packets of DS Lite styluses just because we went through them that fast.
Oh yeah, they're gone before you know it. If that little nub on the back gets worn down, it kind of keeps it in there. Once you I guess slide it back into position, it's over with. Let's talk Switch accessories, and as Gary said, this will probably be a little bit more robust because the Switch actually does need more accessories, or can have the ability to have more accessories. We'll start here with Tim's list. He mentions the Anker Power Cord Power Bank, the SteelSeries Arctis 3 Bluetooth and wired headphones to simultaneously connect your Switch and your phone, GameStop exclusive Power A Shadow controllers, controller gear skins, and the Hori Zelda Edition Go Pack, which is on his wish list. Guys, there are a ton of manufacturers making super quality accessories for Switch right now. On my list, Jesse, I'm probably stealing one of yours when I say this, but Flip Grip is on my list.
I actually did not say that.
And the Flip Grip is the vertical or tate mode stand that has been officially made for the Nintendo Switch through Kickstarter. The reason I mention that is because I got my shipping notification today in my email for that. I'm excited about that. I also want to recommend the Nyko Charge Block for Joy-Con and for your Pro Controller. The Joy-Con one isn't as invasive as the Pro Controller one. The Pro Controller adds a small little piece to the top where you plug in the USB-C, but both of those dock together, and so they don't take up as much space. Jesse's showing you the one on his right now. They dock together so they don't take up as much space, and they feed power off of each other as well, so you only have to have one power cord. So far, to me, that's been the most elegant charging situation or solution that I have found. Amfilm, I've recommended more of these than anything for Switch. Amfilm makes the best Switch screen protectors.
That was the first one on my list.
And they're $10 on Amazon for 2 of them. And currently, these things have saved my Switch twice. So I owe my Switch's life to Amfilm, and they're cheap but effective tempered glass screen protectors. I'm also going to mention the GameCube wireless and enhanced wireless Pro controllers from PowerA. Both of them are fantastic. Guys, look, you need one of these. You need one of these, and I'm going to tell you why you need one of these. Number one, Smash is going to feel great with this. Number two, if GameCube games ever come to Nintendo Switch Online, think about how that's going to be with this, right?
Just missing
it's going to be
analog.
amazing. And
more in the analog.
They may enable it. Who knows? It feels like the travel's there for it, even though they're not analog. The enhanced wireless controller has become my son's official Pro controller. He loves it. It just feels great, even without the rumble and the NFC or the wireless and all that. It's just a fantastic wireless controller, and he's been playing with it since we received our review copies back in October. We have not had to change the batteries yet. And he plays a lot of Switch with his. Also, I'm going to mention this one last thing, and then we'll move on. I think you need a Pokeball Plus. Whether you're playing Pokemon Let's Go or whether you're playing Pokemon Go, it interacts with both. I have played Let's Go on my TV docked mode almost exclusively with the Pokeball Plus. And I've come to really enjoy it. I know it's limited. I know that some people have some things against it. But after the initial kind of day where I wasn't able to get it working, which was like the first day, it needed an update. But since then, it's been fantastic. I really enjoy playing with it. It's a cool little accessory. It's a typical Nintendo accessory. They make stuff that only works with one game. And they make you want it, and then you get it, and it just kind of piles up around. But I love the Pokeball Plus.
The thing I was worried about with that is using that joystick as a clicker for the A. Does it still feel like it's holding up after I don't know how long you put into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's a pretty sturdy click, and it's a pretty I feel like it's a pretty sturdy device.
You know, I know we're side railing a little bit here, but the thing is with the Pokemon Company, these accessories that they make, they give you such a memory of that game, like the Poké Walker did with the Gold and Silver remakes. This is the same thing. I think that Pokemon Go, especially the mobile game, has actually become really good because of it. And I think that Let's Go, it's such a sort of a thing that you've always wanted forever, is to play a Pokemon game with a Pokeball that you throw at the screen. And even though it basically is the same as the Joy-Con, it's something that's so memorable and unique, and it works completely fine. The clicking stick, it can be a bit annoying at times, but I think it's perfectly fine. I actually really like it.
All right, and that's a great recommendation, Gary. Why don't you and Jesse go ahead with your lists? Switch accessories you recommend.
Yep. So, remember when the Switch first came out? There was 2 complaints that people had. Big complaints. One was the price of the Joy-Cons and the controllers, and the other one was charging. The battery life for portable mode. Well, they're not really complaints anymore. I mean, as Tim had in the Anker Power Core power bank. Pretty much any of the USB officially licensed Switch chargers, power banks, highly recommended. You know, you chuck one in your bag, you can charge your phone off them. I've done a fair bit of traveling down to London, and the power banks are a godsend. On top of that, I would recommend the Power A Wired Controller Plus. I've got the Zelda Edition one right here. They were incredibly cheap at times. You can find them in sales and stuff like that. Really good wired alternative as a second controller. But if it's someone who's into retro games, then I wouldn't recommend it for modern 3D games. But if they're into retro games, then they're 8-bit though controllers. They've recently released, or it's coming out soon, the M30 Pro 2. But I've got the original one. Probably the best D-pad I've used on the Switch so far. Really responsive and stuff like that. But like I said, for 3D games, not quite so good. Do either of you guys have any experience with the 8-bit though controllers at all?
I've never bought one.
You never bought one? Yeah, so, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to probably say the same thing as me, Marty. You think it's good for retro games, but probably not for anything else.
Yeah, I have the one that's NES themed. Is that the one that you have?
Yeah, it's a N30 Pro.
Yeah, that's pretty much the one that I have. It's passable.
Yeah.
But I think that my issue with it is that it's not
Thin.
wide enough. It feels very small in my hands.
Yeah, so the reason why I'd recommend it really is because I think it's extremely portable. It's probably the best D-pad on the Switch, as I just said. But also you can use it with other things. You can use it with Android and PC as well. So it's got its multiple uses. So I actually quite recommend it. Like I said, just not really so much for modern games. You're not going to be playing Breath of the Wild with it or Splatoon with it, put it that way.
Right.
Other than that, I think everybody needs a carry case, and the Power A carry case, which is the big like satchel sort of one, but like a laptop bag, is a really good one because it comes with a little armored, like actual smaller case for the Switch as well, and you can fit everything in there, your dock, your Joy-Cons, the whole lot. It's been pretty much the most used carry case of any system I've ever used, because I literally sometimes don't even carry my Switch in it because it's just a good bag. Yeah. But it does fit everything in. I agree with Marty about the Pokeball Plus, but I think that as well, but obviously that's only if you're going to buy Let's Go. But I think that something that everybody needs is some sort of play stand for tabletop mode. I've got the Hori play stand, which is the plain old, just a plastic shell, which you can get a USB into it if you want to charge it off a power bank or anything like that. But there is on the Nintendo Dads channel, we have got a review for the charging stand as well, so go check that out. And I mean, we've got a few things on there off this list anyway, haven't we? We've got Justin's got a backpack which he recommended a while ago on there. Marty's got a review for the wireless and wired GameCube controllers. And also, I did a review for a very cheap alternative to a Pro Controller, which is the Hykrus. And it's half the price of a Pro Controller, but it has the gyro, the rumble, pretty much everything that the Pro Controller's got, including the rechargeable battery, with the exception of the NFC chip. So it's a really good controller for the price. It's on par with a lot of wired controllers that don't have any gyro rumble in terms of cost. So go check that one out as well.
Yeah, if you're getting the Hykrus, one thing too, if you're getting the Hykrus controller, it does need an update, correct?
Yeah, it did need an update. Yeah, it did.
Like my recommendation is do that update before you do anything else with it, or otherwise you're not going to have a good experience with the controller.
Almost every controller will need to be updated. Because even the Pokeball Plus gets an update.
Oh, sure. Like any controller that you're getting at this point, because the Switch firmware has been updated so much, you need to just go ahead and update it as soon as you connect it. The bad thing is they don't tell you that.
Yeah, including the 8-bit those, they also needed updating, which third-party controllers tend to not be able to really tell you in any sort of way. Mine needed updating as well, the firmware on the
Third-party
8-bit.
controllers too, by the way, for the most part, update via PC or Mac or a desktop or a laptop computer. First-party controllers will always update via the Switch.
Also,
Joy-Cons, Pokeball, Pro Controller always update via the Switch.
Just a note on the Hi-Crust as well. It is actually compatible with PC and Android as well. So another win for
so that could be like a one-stop controller.
Yeah, and it's a PS4 shaped controller, so it's a fairly familiar sort of controller to a lot of gamers anyway. Also, on that subject of updating controllers, yeah, the Pokeball did update. You have to go home while you're in game to do it. That's the way that mine did it. You wouldn't do it any other way. I don't know if it was the same for you guys as well, but
no, I actually went to controller updates and it started doing a bunch of Joy-Con updates, and it included the Pokeball in that.
Yeah, it shows up as though it's updating the Joy-Con originally. That's what it did on mine anyway, the right Joy-Con, but it was actually the Pokeball. And then a new icon appears when you're using it in the menus and stuff. I think that was all the update was for, wasn't it? It was to use it in the menus because it didn't work before that. Well,
right.
Mine didn't anyway. Yeah, that Pokeball though. Mwah.
Yeah, and even if you're not a Let's Go player, but someone who you know someone or you yourself plays Pokemon Go, the Pokeball is good for that as well. I don't even use the Pokeball for Let's Go. I use it for Go only.
Well, last thing I want to say about the Pokeball, and then we're going to move on. I love the coating or the I guess the texture on the outside of that Pokeball. I wish that was on every Joy-Con that Nintendo made.
Yeah, it's
so easy to hold on to.
The recommendation for the Power A controller that I suggested actually has that. It's a soft grip.
Yeah.
So and it's when things are getting intense in the game, that's the go-to controller for me because it does not slip when your hands get sweaty.
Yeah, I mean, for the Pokeball, it makes it really easy to hold on to because the Pokeball is smaller.
Yeah.
And it does kind of sometimes fit awkwardly in the hand. So it's just something to think about, But I was just looking as Gary was talking because I wanted to search on Amazon for the Hi-Keris controller. There are tons of Pro Controller options, alternatives to Nintendo's Pro Controller. All we would say is cautionary here. Read the reviews.
Yeah.
Just read the reviews and trust companies you've heard of. All right. Like we're glad to recommend the Hi-Keris controller now that we've played it and been around. Power A, we've used those. Those are great controllers. Nintendo, of course, makes the original. But just be careful. I did notice too the other day some people had bought Pro controllers off Amazon and gotten counterfeit Pro controllers, even though they shipped in Nintendo printed boxes and things like that. So be very careful about the seller source when you buy a controller on Amazon. Try to buy from Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon and not fulfilled by anyone else. Just so that you don't end up getting one of these knockoff Pro controllers. They just said the first tip-off was how junky it felt in their hands. Like it felt too light. It felt like it wasn't held together good. So, again, just be careful. Let's move on to our last. I'm sorry.
I haven't done mine yet.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jesse.
So I rambled on so much that you swept Jesse under the rug.
Well,
That's
it's
right.
the second time. Next time, I'm just going to let him nod at me and I'm done.
So
Okay, you can talk now.
So I have the Power A Nintendo Switch Joy-Con charging dock. It lets you charge 4 Joy-Con at once, and it connects through USB, so it can connect into your dock to get power to charge everything. So if you have extra Joy-Cons to play games like Smash, Mario Party, you can charge more than just 2 at a time. Of course, I mentioned the Hori officially licensed LAN adapter, which Amazon has them for $26, so prices seem to go up and down. I mentioned a Nintendo branded AC adapter. Just have an extra AC adapter around, just because you'll never know where else you'll want to charge it. There are third parties would be wary of them because of what we found out about third-party docks with the 5.0 update several months ago. I just stick with the Nintendo branded stuff for that. And so you can get one for under 30. And then, of course, I have an SD card. Amazon has 64 gigs on sale for $12, which is amazing. Because I think, 128's $20. I think I paid 40 or 45 when the Switch was launched, and you can get a 400 gig for $100 now. But that used to be like a $200 unit when.
$250 almost.
Yeah, so that's gone down by half, and as I'm sure the capacity will increase in the future, and then the prices of the existing ones will continue to drop. But I still have the 128 in mine, and I do a lot of mostly digital. I'm about half full. My daughters have the 64s, and they're never going to fill that up because they don't play as many games as my son and I do.
Yeah, as somebody, I own a 400 gigabyte card, but if you're not going to have a lot of games, the only reason I upgraded to the 400 gigabytes because we get a ton of review copies, and I was running out of room to keep all my games on my Switch. So 128 gigabytes is going to be more than fine for most people when it comes to SD card for your Switch. So 64 to 128 would be excellent, and I think that's a great recommendation.
Okay, that's my list.
Awesome. Let's move on to the very end of this list. Gifts and collectibles relating to Nintendo. Gary, why don't you start us out here?
Well, this is the hardest one for me because I do not buy collectibles. I don't.
Oh, wow.
I don't collect any sort of figures and stuff. I stopped with Amiibo because that was getting ridiculous. So for me, I can't really recommend anything. This is out of my ball game. There is a couple of books which I think that are cool. Namely,
I mean that fits here.
Yeah,
okay. Collectibles, books, toys.
Playing with Power and Playing with Super Power books, which were the NES and Super NES companion books. But other than that, I don't really have much else that I could kind of recommend. I'm looking at Tim's list now, and he's got the manga books for Zeldas on there. I've actually got a collection of those, but I was a bit hit and miss with those. So yeah, there's a bunch of good books and stuff. Toys, there's hundreds and thousands of them. I'm sure you two probably know a lot more than I do about these. So.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your shelves behind you, so.
Yeah, Tim also recommended The Game Console, which is a photographic history from Atari to Xbox by Evan Amos. And I guess these manga books, this is the Legend of Zelda legendary, so it's the legendary editions of the manga?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the legendary editions were just I think they had a few colored pages in or something. They were slightly different, yeah.
Okay. Jesse, what about you? Collectibles.
Okay, so I also said the Playing with Super Power books that he mentioned. And then there's the Legend of Zelda Encyclopedia Deluxe Edition, which looks like a big gold Zelda card.
Yeah.
Which actually comes with a 2-scale version of the original instructions. And then along with other goodies. And then I also, continuing on the Zelda books, there's starting with the Hyrule Historia, that was, how long ago was that? That was a while ago.
It was about 4 years ago.
Oh, longer than that. I was
4 or 5, because I got it for Christmas one year for my wife.
It was when Skyward Sword launched, so it was 2011.
No, because we were living in our new house, which is where we are now. Well, no, I take that back because we delayed it. We delayed getting it. I got it a couple years after it was printed.
Hyrule Historia is the first of 3 books by the same publisher that are red, green, and blue. I have all 3 here. In fact, 2 of these
still in the shrink.
Still in the shrink.
My Zelda Encyclopedia, the blue one, is still in shrink as well.
Yeah, so the red one is Art and Artifacts. The green one is Hyrule Historia. The blue one is the Zelda Encyclopedia. Amazon has all three in stock, ranging. Hyrule Historia is under $16 because again that's the oldest, and the others are they're under 30.
Yeah, those are all great pickups. Is that your list?
That's my list.
Okay, Justin says Nintendo Figma figures, which those are the highly detailed collectible action figures that you can get. You can find these on Amazon right now. And let's just take a look while we're thinking about these. And speaking of these, I'm familiar with Nindoroids, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But the Nintendo Figma figures, they're made by the Good Smile Company. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is available. Red from Pokemon, Kirby's Dream Land Kirby figure there. Lucina, Pit, Zero Suit Samus, and Corrin, and Zelda and others. All of these hitting around the $50 mark or higher. So you definitely want to pick the one you want. You may not get more than one. But also along those, they make the Figma figures, but they also make the Nindoroid figures, which are kind of like chibi super deformed versions of popular Nintendo characters. Small bodies, really big heads. I happened to see one of these today at Best Buy. It was Mario, the Mario Nindoroid that came with Boo and a Buzzy Beetle, some question blocks, different power-up items. I actually have the Mega Man Nindoroid. Big surprise, right? So that's the only one of them I own. I do have the I have a Figure Arts Mario that came out a few years ago that was like a super articulated 2-scale Mario figure. They also made a Luigi and a Bowser. These were made by Bandai Tamashii. They're pretty hard to find right now. Diorama sets on Amazon are going for less than $20, but they made Mario, they made Bowser, they made a few others. But those are really cool. I also would recommend, I saw at GameStop the other day, there's a 30th anniversary Mega Man action figure that is about a foot tall and plays over 35 sounds from Mega Man games, including the Mega Man theme from Mega Man 2 and different weapon sounds and the death sound and different things like that. By the way, if anybody wants to buy that for me for Christmas, hint, hint, hope somebody listens to this. That is there. That is a GameStop exclusive. The Super Mario Encyclopedia is out right now, and if you'll hang on, I want to grab it.
Oh, I've seen this. It's the big question mark block one, isn't it? Yep. It actually looks really cool.
This was published by Dark Horse. And so it comes in a giant case. It's actually, the book is not this size. So when you take the book out, you get one of 4 covers. There's a 1-up mushroom, a regular a power-up mushroom, a star, and a fire flower. And I got the 1-up mushroom, sparkly. And it comes with a Mario ribbon with power-up star or invincibility stars on it. It has this really cool blue binding. And then when you open it up, there's all kinds of things in here. There's an interview with Takahashi Tezuka at the beginning. And this goes all the way through Mario's history. Does not have Mario Odyssey in it. So that's the one glaring omission. It goes all the way up through the Wii U. So it's a really cool history of Mario. Tons to look at. Super Mario 3D World is the last thing here. If you have a Mario fan in your life, though, like me, I love the Zelda books, but this one to me is way cooler. I have all the Zelda books, but this one it's like the cherry on top. So there's that. Also wanted to recommend one last thing, and that is these really cool NES coasters that I found online the other day. These are made by Paladone, and you can get a set of these for $10 on Amazon. And there are, let's see, 8 different titles. They're shaped like little NES games. They have the original artwork on them, as you can see if you're watching on the YouTube video. It even has on the back, it looks like an old NES cart with the sticker and the imprints and everything.
It just looks weird with how thin it is. You expect the thickness to be to scale, but it's not.
Donkey Kong, Duck Hunt, Mario 1, 2, and 3, Metroid, Zelda, and Excite Bike. So just really cool for,
Zelda's not gold?
Zelda is not gold.
Oh.
No, I know they missed an opportunity there. But just really cool little conversation starter, to maybe have around your office or whatever. I like to keep mine here, to put a drink on or whatever when I'm working.
I actually have one last thing that I forgot about, which I saw the other day, and I thought, wow, those are amazing. There's some Mario puppets that have been released. They do Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, and Piranha Plant, the best fighter to ever hit any fighting game ever. And if you guys haven't seen it, there is a video of Piranha Plants singing Bohemian Rhapsody
at a
online.
GameStop.
Yeah, the GameStop, yeah. And that is definitely worth checking out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm
Go
scared.
Google Piranha Plant Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's fantastic. Gary, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I've been wanting to find a way to work that in. Guys, that is our holiday 2018 gift guide. I hope that you got some ideas or got some clarity. The reason we wanted to do this is we've actually had people hitting us up on Twitter, sliding in our DMs, asking us about buying things for Switch and doing things like that. So we hope that that was helpful for you. We're going to end up tonight's show with our community spotlight. So let's get right to that. All right, earlier today we posted on Twitter, it's podcast time again, so we need your topics and questions. And here's what you came up with this week. At Dakota1RL says this: remember the DS. Consider it done. It's been remembered. There it is.
Yep, done.
I do remember the DS. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times. I remember getting the DS, the original Nintendo DS, and getting Super Mario 64 DS and the Herbs.
Yeah, I've got some incredibly weird memories of the original DS because I think for a lot of people it was a system that was promising. It had a lot of uniqueness about it, but overall it ruined Zelda. And but there is a few games on there which are so weird. And
you and I are going to fight one of these days. You realize that?
Yeah,
you're going to fight with styluses in a back alley.
But there's a few games on there which are so weird and strange and out there that the DS was sort of, it was more of a memory than a great console. For me,
think about this though, Gary. Like the Game Boy Advance and the DS are responsible for WarioWare.
Yeah, which is absolutely perfect.
WarioWare Touch is still one of my favorite WarioWare games.
And there's some games which touchscreen is amazing for. Zelda's not one of them. Anyway, there's a game which, if you guys are DS fans and you have never played, it's not the greatest game in the world, but it is so weird and bizarre. Is a game which in America is called a different name to in Europe, which over here it's called Project Rub. Over there it's Feel the Magic XXXY.
That's the game I was going to mention.
Yeah, it's amazing. This game is like, it's the greatest Sega game that has ever been made because
It's weird bunny people.
Yeah, I
I really thought that you were going to mention Yoshi Touch and Go, the greatest Nintendo DS game.
I like that game. I thought that was really good.
That's terrible.
I actually liked it. It was a good waste of time. I mean, a good game to play. Yeah, but Project Rub is just so bizarre. I mean, where else could you be screaming at your DS that you love it, trying to get a girl's attention in a park while a band marches in front of her, or rub a fish out of someone's belly.
Apparently, you can still buy it in Amazon for $11.
Yeah, but think about this, guys. The DS did give us games like Wario Master of Disguise, DK Jungle Climber, Kirby Canvas Curse, Super Princess Peach.
I didn't play any of those games, Mark.
You didn't play Princess Peach?
No, I didn't know.
Oh my gosh, you missed. You missed one of the greatest Mario games ever. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story came out on Nintendo DS.
Also didn't play that one.
Wow. You missed like a whole...
That's
Sonic Rush, which is regarded as one of the greatest 2D Sonic games of all time. Nintendo DS.
Bowser's
Kirby and the Amazing Era. Kirby Squeak Squad. Kirby Mass Attack.
I don't like Kirby.
Oh.
Yeah, but Bowser's Inside Story is probably the best of the RPGs. And, that is getting a remake next year in 3DS, so check that out if you're still...
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there for DS, but I agree with Gary. It was a weird...
Yeah.
Who can forget the magic of PictoChat?
I mean, to be fair though, there was some really good games on there. I actually rate Star Fox Command. I thought there was a really clever idea and an interesting twist on the Star Fox series. And Tetris DS was probably arguably the greatest version of Tetris of all the Nintendo characters.
Yes, I still have that one. I love it.
I have it on here somewhere, maybe.
It was an odd system in its own right. The DS and the Wii were so perfectly married to each other. It was kind of crazy because they had the same ideas, the same outlook, the same mentality. And I would argue that both of them had fantastic games if you dug deep. But as someone who would walk into a mall and pick a game, it'd be a gamble whether it was just a gimmick on the control scheme or whether it was actually genuinely a good game.
Pretty great commentary right there. I can't argue with that. Kyle Foley 25 says this, and let me just preface his question by saying this, guys. We are 7 days away from Smash Ultimate. One of the biggest Nintendo game of 2018. He says this, since Smash is only a week away, what are you looking forward to most about the game? For me, it's going to be like just finally getting to sit down with it and explore everything. Like try everything once, right? Try the Spirits mode, try the single player mode, try World of Light, try Classic Battle. Just experiencing that, and also just seeing all the updates to it, because I've tried to keep myself in the dark as much as possible. I mean, I've watched the directs, but and I've noticed there's like UI updates. There's different things going on, like when you get down to the end, and you're like 1v1, life wise or stock wise, things like that. So I'm just looking forward to experiencing all of that, and new characters. I want to play some of those new characters, King K. Rool, especially. What about you, Gary?
So, as someone who's played Smash Bros. A couple of times since summer till now, there's something that's already happened, which I'm looking forward to continuing the entire Smash run. And that's when someone turns around to you and says, "Hey, what character do you main?" And my reply is not Link, and it is not Mario, it's Mr. Game & Watch. And the look on people's faces, yeah, it will be when Piranha Plant's out. The look on people's faces when you say anything other than Bayonetta, Link, or Cloud is untrue, especially Game & Watch. Nobody expects you to main Game & Watch. But the one thing that I'm actually really looking forward to the most, if it works, is the online. Because Smash 4, I wanted that to work online so much, and it sucked so hard that it was upsetting. So I just hope that this is, a sort of almost flawless online experience where you're not like swinging your sword and then waiting for a loading screen before you swing the rest of the sword. So that's the one thing that I'm looking forward to the most, is hopefully the online modes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just hope that they nail it.
Get a LAN adapter.
Yeah, but it's everybody else's connections that's the trouble, isn't it? We've got great Wi-Fi in England. I hear the horror stories about American Wi-Fi and American internet. I'm sorry, but we're a small country. We're like 2 seconds away from every server. It's fantastic here, so I don't see how people complain.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll just move over there. Bruce Patterson at Togobop asks us this. I want to know if there's any chance of NHL 2020 getting onto the Switch. I'm sure it would get a hat trick. What do you think?
I can't comment on this one. I'm from England.
FIFA has there's now 2 FIFA games on Switch. For some reason, though, Madden continues to skip the Switch. Other sports games continue to skip, except for NBA 2K. There's two of those now. WWE 2K19 chose to skip the Switch after the horrible port of 2018. I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with the NHL franchise.
And neither am I. I'm trying to find out when the last time it was on a Nintendo.
It's been a long time.
In the grand scheme of things, as much as this might upset a few people, sports games really large appeal as sort of to not casual gamers as in like, unskilled and stuff like that, but people who probably don't play games like we do. So obviously it's going to go to whatever sort of market is tailored to that. I don't really think the Switch is, if I'm being completely honest. And I think that, the only reason that FIFA's thriving on it is because that is the biggest selling sports game worldwide. So
yeah. What I would be more interested in seeing is NHL hits coming back to the Switch along with NFL Blitz. I love those games. Arcade style sports games are my jam because I can game the system. There's always a trick. You can always figure it out. Real-time sports simulations, no. Anyway. At Shellshock Prime asks us this. You guys should talk about road trips and how the Switch comes into play. Have either of you taken a road trip with your Switch?
Yes.
Yeah, so how did that work out?
Well, the road trip, while we were in the car, I actually found myself not being able to play Switch much. Just because, bump, 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 bump. And I couldn't hold it stable enough to be useful. But it did get play like in hotels and in whatever other downtime we might have had. But just in the actual the road trip itself, it really didn't get much play. I spent most of my time watching movies and TV shows on my iPad.
So, when you guys say road trip, I'm pretty sure that it's completely different here because everything where I live, especially in the middle of England, is only 2-3 hours away. So a road trip isn't the same thing here. So, Marty, you?
I've taken it a few times with me, like going to visit my parents, things like that. And of course, they're close to Gary, like they're an hour and a half away, but they don't own a Switch, but they do have a dock at their house so that when my son comes up with his Switch or I come up, I can dock it and charge and play up there. It's a lifesaver. Sometimes, I take my Switch everywhere with me. So if I have extra, a little bit of time, I can do it. I don't get to play it in the car so much because I'm usually the one driving if we are driving somewhere. But my wife likes it sometimes when I bring my Switch so that she can play. It's a great portable system. We've taken it on vacation the last couple of years and played Jackbox games with my in-laws and things like that. So that's been really fun to have. And I'm glad that it's the full console home experience. It's portable. I just don't know that, as far as playing it on the road, not really had much experience with that.
Yeah. Our road trip was from Kansas to Pennsylvania, which was about 13 or 14 hours one way.
Oh, that's a road trip.
Yeah.
you could have literally gone around England 3 times. But
that's just half of our country.
But what I will say is, I've played it on a plane, I've played it on a train, Fantastic for those sort of things. Anything with a lap tray, brilliant.
Have you played it in a box? Have you played it with some locks?
I've played it in an automobile. Yeah, it's. I mean,
rhymes with automobile?
That's what I was waiting for. All the other spiel. Maybe.
Have you played it with a glockenspiel?
No.
But I mean, yeah, it's great. It's a great portable system. But again, tabletop mode with one of the play stands on a train on the lap thing. Just
the play stand is really, really good. I have the originally released Hori play stand, the adjustable
that's what
one.
I've got, yeah.
And it's fantastic to have with you. Speaking of road trip playing, back at the end of summer, or maybe it was at the beginning of summer, I met up with Brian Scott, one of our patrons, and Zach Bohannon. Cool Zach, who's been on before.
Cool Zach.
And we played some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that way. We ate some ice cream and some hot chicken and played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in Nashville. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We need to do that again.
I talked about it after I was back from that vacation, but I remember when we were at the Airbnb, we brought with a small projector. So I set the dock up in the projector, put it on its side like a giant tate mode, and played Donkey Kong on like an 8-foot wall. That was pretty fun.
That would be nice. That'd be nice. Hey, our last question this week comes from Michael Burgett, and he asks us this: as dads, how do you handle games like Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, or Smash that could be given as Christmas presents to your kids? Do you give them early? Do you wait to give them at Christmas? Or do you get them something else instead and not count those as their presents? I can't wait. We've got Let's Go Pikachu day of. We're getting Smash day of. If my son gets Smash, he might get an eShop card and be able to buy it, for Christmas. But my copy of Smash and my copy of Let's Go Pikachu, those are mine, and they've already been opened. Or, well, Let's Go has. Smash is coming. I can't wait.
We normally don't give games for holiday gifts, but we kind of made an exception with the Pokemon and called that kind of early Christmas present.
For me, I think you're best to wait, and the reason is because I'm thinking of myself growing up. Like one of the greatest Christmas memories I have was opening Pokemon Blue and sitting against the sort of patio doors to outside, back to that, playing that game for probably a solid 4 hours before getting called for Christmas dinner.
Oh, that's cool.
Just like being blown away by it. And I think if it was earlier than that, I don't think I'd have had the same memories. I think that the excitement of opening it on the day and the excitement of playing it, waiting, and then being tore away from it for dinner, and the whole time just eating the turkey, thinking that game's just waiting for me to come back, so I'm going to have to eat this dinner as fast as I can.
The difference now versus the difference when we were kids is we didn't know when games launched. So
yeah.
Our parents would see a game in the store and say, "Oh, this looks good." I might see it in the magazine, but I didn't know if it's out yet or not. But now everyone knows what's coming out when.
Yeah.
Sometimes 6 months early in advance.
I was just going to mention that. Like, some of my greatest Christmas memories, I'm like Gary, revolve around games. I remember getting Little Nemo the Dream Master for NES. I wanted it so bad. And I remember opening it, and Mega Man 3. Those came out the same year on NES. I got both of those for Christmas. I remember opening my NES on Christmas morning. I remember getting Final Fight for the Super Nintendo for Christmas, and just games like that. Donkey Kong Country is extremely, especially Donkey Kong Country 2. I remember very vividly getting Donkey Kong Country 2 and beating it like 3 days later because it's all I played. So just tons of Christmas memories wrapped up around video games. And a couple years ago, it's actually about 5 years ago, Santa had one more thing for for my son, and it was a 2DS, the doorstop edition. And he's gotten some games since then. Santa's going to deliver some Switch goodness this year as well. They just don't know it yet. Actually, actually, let me rewind that and say that my son has decided that this year his sister has been, like my daughter, has been asking for Just Dance 2019 for weeks. And he came to me the other day and he said, "Dad, I've saved up some of my allowance money. Can I buy Just Dance 2019 for Annalise for Christmas?" And I was like, tear in my eye. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'll help you. You don't have to use your whole allowance. But it was like he wanted to get her exactly what she wanted. I thought that was pretty cool.
You know, our Christmas episode has got to be so nostalgic for us, I think.
I think what we need to do is we'll get Jesse to download the sound of a Yule log, crackling in the background, and we'll just sit around and tell Christmas stories about video games. I think that would be. I actually think that would be kind of cool.
I bet I can find a 10-hour YouTube video.
You will.
Just recycle.
Rip the audio from that.
You just recycle, guys. Thanks for writing in your questions this week. We always appreciate your questions. You can email those as well, or send us a voicemail. Let's go ahead and close out this show. What a great episode with this holiday gift guide and all of our other news. We want to say huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Dave Ernsberger and Timothy Off. And next week on December 6th, on our December 6th episode, we will be joined by Dave himself. And I'm excited about that on Smashmas Eve. He will be here to talk all things Smash and everything else with us. Oh. You can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads to be like them and support us. Again, everything from $1 a month to $30 a month helps us create Nintendo Dads content. You can follow us on all our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube at Nintendo Dads. Email us at nintendodads@gmail.com. Call in and leave us a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. And if you want to buy some sweet Nintendo Dads merch like me and Jesse, you can head over to tiny.cc /Nintendo Dads store, all lowercase, to get you some of that sweet Voltendo Dads shirts, stickers, coasters, duvet covers, curtains coming. I mean, there's even yoga pants over there with our cartoon faces on them. That's crazy. We want to say big thanks to OC Remix for the music used throughout the show. And thanks to you, listeners, for sticking around for another episode of the Nintendo Dads podcast. For me, for Jesse, for Gary, for Justin, and Zach, we wish you guys a great week. I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Maple syrup mooses.